Good morning, this is David Wendell with BushcraftOnFire, and we're glad to have you with us for another video. The knife that Jason Lowery made me, people have been asking if I could do a review on it. So that's what I want to do today, is a short review on this knife. This probably won't be a very long video. I've cleaned the knife up a bit, as you can see. I've put an edge on it, and I've worked pretty hard on it. It's got a good edge, and I'll show you the cutting power of that edge in just a few minutes after we finish the testing. I've also rewrapped the handle. I left the brown cord on there, but I went and put some black cord on as well, and that gave me a real tight handle. Gives me a nice little lanyard here if I want a lanyard to hold on, which I will. My son very graciously threw together a little sheath for me. He's practicing his sheath making. Put a little fringe on the bottom, put my name there, and soaring eagle and the eagle emblem. And I'm going to actually call this knife the Eagle. The first thing I want to do is to just try and baton a few branches off of here. And you can see that's going right through. And that's taking short work of those branches. Those are about my thumb size, about 1 inch. I've sharpened the knife up pretty good, but when Jason was making it, there's a few little nicks right in here, if you can see that on my thumb. And I'm not worried about those. They'll sharpen out. This is a chopper. It's not meant to be a fine working blade. So those will work themselves out as I continue to work with the knife and sharpen it. But let's go back up to the chopping block and let's see how it works on that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this elm and let's see how this thing skins some bark off it. Awkward angle. And you can see that that's skinning real well. Going right to the layer I want. It's not going any deeper. And I can use it as a scraper as well. Go back and clean that up. So we pass in this realm as well. Very fine. And you can see I can choke up on this with the handhold. I can hold the knife up here and use it as a scraper. And that gives me some good control with it as well, which is important on a big chopper if you're doing any kind of fine work. So it's very good. What I'm going to do is just do a little quick testing. I need to get a fire going today. And so I'll cut some kindling off of here, and we'll start with the small and get up to the big and see how this knife does. I'll put this handle around here because we're getting to some thicker wood and I want a little more control. Okay, we're at about a 1/2 inch here, and we're taking 2 slices on that at a 1/2 inch. That's not terrible. 1 slice on that one. Of course, this wood's a little dead. This isn't green wood, but it's alright. You don't use green wood for fire anyway. Now we're up to almost 1 inch, so let's see how that works. We're at 1 inch and we're right through in one shot. And again, what I'm doing, because I've got this lanyard here, I'm choking back on the handle. This knife weighs approximately 1 pound, and when I choke back on that handle, that gives me all the force right there from my wrist. So it chops pretty well. Now we're up to about 1 1/4 inches. Let's see how this will do. Now we're at wet wood here, so this isn't going to be a very accurate test. But 3 chops at 1 1/4 inches, not bad at all. So let's try and split some wood out and see how that works. Let's put it right here. Now you notice that when he did the file, Jason left a nice curve on this blade. And that hits my baton. It gives me a good place to hit that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that knife right there, and we'll see how this oak splits down. And that's a pretty good thick piece of oak, split right up. Here's a piece of locust. Let's see how that'll work. Got 2 knots, so I'm going to try and cut across the knots. But locust is a very hard wood. Knife is making short work of that. Let's see how this will baton in and split out the smaller pieces. This is a good way to baton, by the way, if you've got smaller pieces. Just smack it and give it a twist. I'm going through a knot, so it's not going to twist out, of course. But there you go. Nice job. The knife is a good knife. Again, it's real sharp. And let's get another piece of oak up here and make short work of fire. Another one of the nice things about this knife is because Jason made this out of a horse rasp file. I actually have these scales left on here. And if I'm doing woodworking, show you something cool here. Come down here, you can see that that's sanding that right down. So if I need to sand some wood down, that's doing a fine job. That could be useful out in the bush. I've got a finer edge on this side if I need to do finishing work, as also a sander. And I can use this back end on an angle as kind of a notcher, because again, it has that file edge on it, and you can see that can make pretty short work out of a notch for a fireboard. So good overall knife. I can also start my fireboards with the point of the knife. It's got a good point, gives me some usefulness for the fireboard, and there you can see a nice divot to start my fire. Okay, now you can see we'll get down to some fine work here, and this is doing a real fine job of making a feather stick for me. As I said, this thing is paper cutting sharp right now. We'll see in a minute after we finish our testing here, but it gives me good blade control. And you can see I'm not getting real thick pieces. This is a very good feather stick, nice thin pieces, and that knife is really cutting them down. So this is a good overall bushcraft knife. It's strong. Let me try and mallet this in here and bend it a bit and show you. Another nice thing is I have a pommel on the back, and that pommel will allow me to hit the knife down into something without damaging the knife. That's strong. Not going to break out of there. The tip is still good. I'm just going to go ahead and run this over my chalk stick, my ceramic rod, 4 or 5 times. The reason for that is because I told you there's a notch in the edge of this, and doing all the work we just did with the knife took a wee little bit off it. That's okay, but 4 or 5 times, nothing major, because in all honesty I don't want this to rip the paper to smithereens. We'll go ahead and put this on a piece of paper and see how it works. And there you go. Nice. It won't, right where this notch is, it'll rip the paper. So let's try back here. You see I hit where that notch is. So until I get that notch out of there, right where that notch is, but up on the front end, we're plenty sharp. And again, this is a chopper. So not bad for a big chopper. Jason, you did a fine job. And if anybody's interested in an inexpensive chopper, this may definitely be the way to go. Overall, real fine knife. This is David Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire. We've hoped that you've enjoyed this knife review on what I'm calling the Eagle, and hope that you join us again for another video. Thank you all for your support, and hope that you have a great day.